Hello, brother. How are you? Please post my story as anonymous. I am a South African man and I really enjoy your programs. And this is my own confession that I want to share with you. I want to ask South Africa if what I did, if I was wrong. I used to sell dog meat as well as donkey meat. This I started doing when I had visited a bro of mine in Botswana, and then I heard him saying, "You have just eaten donkey meat." I was like, "You are lying, man." And he said, "No, this is donkey meat," because he took me to this other popular chill out spot where there was a Shisanyama, and then we were drinking our alcohol as we were eating our pap, a nice meat. And I thought that maybe it was beef. Only after the meal, that was when he told me that I had just eaten donkey meat. I said, "I'm going to vomit." He laughed at me and he said, "No, you're not going to vomit." So when I returned back to South Africa, then that was when I started to think about it, when my problems started, because I went to Botswana before my problems had even started with my wife. And when I went to Botswana as well, I had gone there to meet my mistress, and my wife then later found out. So when I became broke, then I started to feed the people here in the area where I was having my business, donkey meat as well as dog meat. I was in a wreckage in 2011. My life was a mess. I was 43 years old and my marriage of nearly 15 years had ended in a courtroom. And when you go to court in a divorce, know that anything can happen and you can lose everything that you have worked hard for. And the most painful part about it, Brunash, was that I had worked so hard all of my entire life. And then that was when this woman came along. When she came, she just took everything that once belonged to me. So between the legal fees, the settlement, and a failed transport business, I woke up one morning owing the bank. Yes, I owed the bank 2 million that I owed in debt. Whenever I would think about it, I did not even know what else to do about this money that I was owing to the bank. I was even thinking that if they just arrest me, it is just going to be better. And I was a man that had a lot of money before that, but now I was thinking of sleeping in my own car because the woman that I had gotten married to, she was a gold digger in all sense. She did not even care about what was going to happen to me. And the reason as to why she had refused to fall pregnant for me, it was because she knew that eventually she was going to dump me. And when she finally found a reason to dump me, that was when she went to court. And because she knew that I had a mistress in Botswana, I had been dating a woman from Botswana, because as for my wife, she had totally refused to fall pregnant for me. So my wife from Botswana, she had fallen pregnant after I had gotten married, and I had stayed with my wife for years and years. And then that was when I found another woman who quickly fell pregnant for me. And then we had a baby. And I knew that my wife, she did not want us to have a baby. So she had that evidence in court, the DNA evidence. I don't know how she got it. And she then claimed that because of that, she was going to sue me, and she was going to sue me for emotional damage. And it was just painful for me. I moved, Brother Nashi, to one of my friend's house, and I already had a Chisanyama by then, and it was going on very well. But you might be running a very successful business, but a business can only be successful if you are not that much in debt. When you are in debt, that business, even though you are making a lot of money, you won't even see that you are making a lot of money, because money will be coming in and going. Money was coming in and it was going out each and every day. I started to struggle to pay even my workers. No one could not even understand what was happening. My workers, they were thinking that I'm someone that is evil, that is stingy, that does not want to pay them in time. But what they did not know was that their boss was in a big mess. Their boss was in big trouble, and I did not know how to get out of the troubles that I had found myself into. I kept on crying, even though I was someone that was not very prayerful. But there was a time in my life when I was like, God, right now, you need to show me that you are there. Just show me that you are there. I would pray, and then God would not even tell me what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to even get my life in order again. He was just quiet. God did not even want to respond to me. And I even thought of going and getting some short boys. But when you are in trouble, trouble will always follow you. I ended up getting scammed, my brother. You won't even believe it, that it happened to a man that was like me. So I even ended up sleeping in my car. And then one day, when I was sitting, I was with my cousin brother. This cousin brother of mine, he used to be in a gang. He was shot after he had been arrested, and then he was released from prison. And then that was when he got involved in another hijacking, and unfortunately he was then shot and he died, that brother of mine. So whilst we were sitting in the car, we were just talking, me and my brother, about a lot of stuff. And then I just mentioned that story that I told you, that when I had gone to Botswana, I ate donkey meat without even realizing that I had eaten donkey meat. He laughed at me and he said, my brother, how about you just sell it? Because if you can save money, your business, it is all about saving money. If you remove beef and pork and you just buy chicken, and we were laughing, and I was like, no, I can't do something like that. So one day, that was when I started to think about it. I just saw a dog that was walking by, and I said, can I do it? Can I do it? So when I looked at that dog, I saw a free inventory, and this meant that my business could run smoothly and I could even make a lot of money. I was like, how about I try this? I then spoke with my brother. I then called him and I said, come here. And he came to my house. And then I told him that I was thinking about getting one dog. We kill that dog and then we slaughter it in a way that it would look like beef, and then we can just try it at the Shisanyama. And they said, okay, it's fine. The first time it was the hardest, but once we spiced the meat with a heavy chili and peri-peri or garlic, nobody could even tell the difference. In fact, people, I think that they enjoyed it on that day. Brother Nashi, people kept on coming back to my Shisanyama, and I was now thinking about how much more money I could make. To my surprise, by 2012, mid-2012, my business was booming. I ended up hiring 2 Mozambicans because my brother even told me to at least hire a foreigner who will never say anything, not to work with local guys, because in the end, they will expose you that this is what we have been doing. So I got 2 guys who did not even ask any questions. I had already another a white panel van that I was having, and I got it fixed. And this was what we would use at night. At night, we would go out, we would go to the quiet suburbs, walking sometimes or driving around. We would look for dogs, those big dogs, those expensive breeds, the bigger ones. And those were the ones that we loved to get. And once we managed to throw a piece of meat, because we would throw a piece of meat, a big dog, maybe like a German Shepherd, it will bite you to death. So when we were driving slowly, we will throw a piece of virus at it and meat, but this will be mixed with some charms and some drugs so that it can just fall asleep. And we would wait and come and pick it up, throw it into the van, and drive it back to my place. At my place, Brother Nashin, we had actually built a room which was our slaughterhouse. I had connected the hose pipe, and we would wash that dog, slaughter it nicely, and we would then cut it cut it in a way that you will never even think that this is a dog. If I would show you the beef of the meat that we would have slaughtered from the dog, you would think that this is a real cow, because we would throw away everything. We would drive to the bushes and throw away the things at the bushes, and then we would go to the Shisanyama. My demand was so high. There was even a guy who owned a butchery. He then told me that he wanted meat because he once went to my Chisanyama, and then he got my phone numbers from my workers, and then my workers, they gave him my phone numbers, and then I started to speak with him. As we were speaking, that was when he told me that he wanted us to work together, and I said, okay, there is no problem at all, because he had a butchery. I then visited his butchery, and I was really impressed with the way that he was working at his butchery. And then he told me that he wanted me to supply him with some meat. So then, brother, the meat that I had, it was not going to be enough. By then, I had 3 spots that I had. I was making a lot of money. I was able to repay my loan, and I was making a lot of money. So since I could not do dogs anymore, I said, what am I going to do? Because the demand was high. Do you know that the demand was high, that we started to run out of dogs in the city? That was when we expanded. My boys, they would go to villages in Limpopo, your northwest, and we could not target dogs because in the villages, those dogs, they are too skinny, man. We wanted fat and we could not get fat anymore. That was when we started targeting donkeys. And when we started to target donkeys for me, it was a gold mine that I had hit. We would steal them from the villages, slaughter them in the bushes. When we would go maybe to Limpopo, we would be staying in a lodge. I would stay in Limpopo in a lodge maybe for 2 weeks, driving around different villages. And when we would have gotten our merchandise, and then that is when we would drive back to Joburg. Usually we used to drive back to Joburg at night, and then we would drive and wait until we would have arrived in Joburg. Usually before you enter Joburg, there will be a lot of roadblock early in the morning, so we would find a place to stay at the lodge. Then around 1 we will start to drive into Joburg. The traffic will be quiet. I was able to pay off my debt 100K a month, and I thought that everything was just going according to plan. Life became so normal, even though it was abnormal. The things that I was doing, they were not normal, but I just ended up thinking that everything that I was doing, it was normal. I went to Botswana. I collected the mother of my baby, and she came to South Africa. We got married, and I love her quite a lot because she is quite an understanding woman. She is an understanding woman. I love her quite a lot, and she does not even know. My wife has no idea that the way that I got out of debt, it was through the things that I was doing, selling dog meat, selling donkey meat. She has no idea at all. We managed to get another property. I can say that in late 2013, that was when I managed to pay off the final 400,000 of my debt. Even one of the bank manager, when I went there to settle some other accounts, he congratulated me on the way that I managed to come back from 2 million in debt, and I sorted out everything. He said that I had that spirit, that South African spirit, to never give up. Even though I looked down and I had tears in my eyes, but deep down in my heart, I was like, this man, he does not even know that I was feeding people dogs and donkeys. That is how I managed to return back to business, because I was in a lot of problems. I am a man, Brother Nashi, that made it in life. I was given a second chance. I live in a nice house in the suburbs. I have other businesses. I no longer do Chisanyamas. I have other businesses that I'm doing consultations as well as tenders. But hey, when I go to a Shisanyama, it's not everyone who does the things that I used to do, but I have problems. I became a vegetarian because of that, because I was giving people meat that they are not supposed to eat. So it affects me to this very day. I find it very hard, Brother Nashi, to eat meat. That is why I ended up becoming a vegetarian. So there are people that do these things. It's not each and everyone that do something like that. But I think that what I was doing, I was being inspired by something, because the way that I would be able to get these dogs, it was so easy, Brother Nash. I would just say, let me go to Centon with my boys. We even ended up being courageous that we would do it during the day. We used to do it at night. Then even during the day, we would drive to Centon. Then we will meet a dog there in Centon. And these dogs, it was as if they were hypnotized by us, because I would even get out of the car. The dog will only bark once, and I will throw some meat at the dog. Then it will start to eat that meat. We wait, and then the dog will just be sedated, and we'll take it, throw it into the vehicle, and we'll just walk away. And we were never caught, Brother Nashi. I made it without ever getting caught. Me and my wife right now, we manage a very good business. Everything that I'm doing, it is according to the law. I am a man who survived a divorce that was very painful. I survived the money that I was owing at the bank. But what makes me to have sleepless nights? There is a question, South Africa, that haunts me every night. Was I wrong to do the things that I did? That is all that I want to hear from my fellow South Africans. Was I wrong? Because all that I wanted was to get out of debt. And this was like the only way that I was able to get out of debt. Was I wrong in doing the things that I did? When you post my story, you will tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Let us try to speak with our dear brother in the comment section. Strange, strange things indeed. They do happen in this world. Let us meet again in the following episode. But our brother is saying, was I wrong? The things that I did, was I wrong? Giving people donkey meat and dog meat.